Reading is just a habit you gotta form in all life. Books don't change people's sentences.
Reading good, solid, reformed, Puritan literature, reading especially the classics, that's had the biggest impact on my life.
Well, good day and welcome to a special edition of the Reformers Bookcast here at Reformers Bookshop. My name's Tom Eglinton, the manager here, and today we have joining us a couple of ladies from Equip, Jocelyn and Isobel. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
So, Equip, for all those listening who don't know, what is Equip?
Equip is a Christian women's conference. It happens once a year, usually in person, but this year will be fully online. But it seems like lots of women are planning to meet as churches and watch together, so that's great.
Yep. And how long has it been running for?
Okay, this isn't going to make me look really old, but this will be our 23rd Equip.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
So 23 years of Bible teaching. It's been a blessing.
And you've been there all the way through, have you, Isobel?
Yeah, I have. I was very young when I started.
5 years old, I hear.
No, look, it's been actually an amazing blessing. Like every time I think about the thousands of women that have come along to our conferences, and also I think for me personally, so many bits of the Bible that I've just had the privilege of like sitting with for a year. Like, I mean, who gets to just justify spending a whole year on 85 verses of the Bible, which is basically what I did this year for Ruth.
That's great. So you're doing Ruth this year?
We're doing the Book of Ruth. It's fantastic. I knew it was a great book when we picked it, but, oh, man, it's amazing. So, yeah.
It's a great book. And just in case we should be releasing this before Equip, can people still sign up? And
Yeah, because we're doing it online, you can sign up. Obviously, the premiere will be on June 19, and so that'll have 2 episodes of Equip, and there'll be a couple of live segments, including a live Q&A with our speakers. So you can watch it live on the day, June 19, or you can watch it anytime up to, I think, a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're saying the cutoff date is July 19, and you can register anytime up until July 19.
At equip.org.au.
Equip.org.au.
Very good. We'll put links to that in the descriptions. Now, Jocelyn and Isobel, we have you along because you two work on the book list, which
Well,
we're
let's
always
face it,
excited
Jocelyn works on the book list.
I have the best job at Equip, I have to say.
Yeah, so every year you have a book list. What do you look for in books that you're trying to select?
We're looking, some of the books we're looking at the themes of Ruth, so we wanted to pick up on some of the things that came from Ruth. But also we just want to pick a range of books that we think will be really helpful for Christian women in Australia, things that we think are solid, biblical, encouraging, and we always have a kids pick and a teens pick as well. Yeah.
Very good. So this is the pile of books here. There's 10 books.
Yep, our top 10.
Yeah, top 10. And we're just going to talk about a few of them today. One of them that you've selected is an older book, God's Big Picture. It's been around for a while. What was it about this book that got it on the list?
I think we've picked it as our classic read.
A classic?
Is that
One
right?
of our
I believe
classics.
so.
Yeah, there's 2 older books on the list.
Yeah, the other one's Jerry Bridges, Trusting God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So God's Big Picture, it is what it says it is. I still remember being in youth group, and the very first time that I realised that the Bible all fit together as one big story was an amazing moment that I still remember it really clearly. It was just so exciting. And I guess we're doing the Book of Ruth this year. The next few years at Equip, we're doing some Old Testament books. And so trying to understand how that all points to Jesus is a really important way of thinking about how to read the Old Testament. So I guess we picked this one. We could have picked lots of different ones, but this is kind of an accessible version.
It's a great short-ish, about 160 odd pages, and he's got lots of diagrams. That's what I like about it.
Pictures are good, aren't they?
Yeah, just to help you get the flow of
Yes.
the Bible.
Yeah, I think my teens have done it, sorry, my girls are not teens anymore. When they were teens, I'm pretty sure they did it in youth group.
Okay.
And it was great, yeah.
Yep. So it's even accessible down to those age levels.
That's right.
And what's the main motif that Vaughan Roberts uses to understand the whole Bible?
I think it really just is that big picture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kingdom. He follows the idea
Yeah.
of kingdom through
okay.
the Bible, and how different, God's place and God's people and God's blessing, those kind of themes and how they draw together. Yeah.
Yep. That is helpful. So then one of the newer books is Gentle and Lowly. This is a wonderful book. We just recorded a couple of weeks ago actually an interview with Dane Ortland about this book. What did you love about this book?
Well, to be fair, okay, I'd seen a few book reviews about it, and then Jocelyn said to me, reading this book made me love Jesus a little bit more. I mean, what a great recommend.
Yeah.
So as soon as Joss said that to me, I'm like, okay, so should we have this book on our list?
Yes, I think it's been my favourite read of the last couple of years, actually. He draws very heavily from Puritans and Puritan thinking, but in a quite accessible way. And just looking at the character of God and the heart of Jesus, I think it's just a beautiful picture of God's character and how he feels about us. And I think, just exploring that and the depths of that and how kind he is. It really grew my love for God reading that book. Yeah.
He doesn't make any connections, but does a few connections with Ruth, doesn't it?
Do you know what? It's the perfect compliment to the Book of Ruth. Okay, so don't hate me, Tom. I actually listened to it on Audible. but I want to say, listening to it on Audible has actually made me want to buy the book, because as I've listened to it, I actually just want it in writing so that I can actually appreciate all the little intricacies and special comments and things. And I think the chapter that he starts with that verse, Matthew 11:28, come to me. And I think Ruth is a story which helps us to think about coming to God. And also his little section about because I am gentle and lowly. I think that's exactly what we see in the book of Ruth. So it's a perfect complement to Ruth. So buy it. I'm going to get a couple of copies while I'm here today.
It's a book to read slowly, isn't it, and savour. I think it's a sort of book you could read a chapter and sit with it for a while. And it's not a page turner; it's a dwelling with book.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm interested. You said it's a love story, but it's not a romance. What do you mean by that?
You'll have to come to Equip to find out.
Okay. Now, changing gears a little, this book has made it onto the list. A Brief Theology of Periods, in brackets. Yes, really. In the introduction, I think the author says, which she told someone she was writing a book about periods, and they're like, periods like periods of time. This is actually about periods, right?
Actual periods.
Yep. The messy stuff. Yep.
Yeah. I've never seen a Christian book on periods. What did you think of this one?
I think I picked this one, didn't I?
I think you did.
I saw it and I just was like, what? I think that was my response too. And I thought, so women's conference, she makes a point in the very first, I think in her preface, that women basically have maybe 500
600
in their lifetime. And I was quite interested to read it because I thought it's going to be either really good or really bad. I'm glad to say, I think both Joss and I think it's really good, isn't it?
It's great. It's I think it's fantastic to look at all these aspects of the Christian life that we don't normally maybe think about from a Christian point of view. And there's been a real rise of these kind of books in secular literature at the moment. In the teen section at Kmart the other day, I saw one about, harnessing the power of your period. And it's kind of this thing that's talked about more. But this really takes a Christian view of what it is to be in the body as a woman, and how your cycle affects your emotions and things like that. But we're still called to be holy and godly in our behaviour. It looks at things like menopause as well and women who suffer with endometriosis. I think it's a really helpful read. Yeah,
I think It is a really interesting little book. It's accessible to, I would say, older teens as well. And, you know, the thing is, we live in such a complicated gender space at the moment. And I feel like this author, she, without being, you know, insensitive or uncompassionate to people who have, you know, gender kind of identity issues, just really gently explores the idea of being a physically created woman. What does that look like? So I really recommend this book. I think it's a great read, and every woman should read it.
Is it a book you'd give to, you said it's accessible to teens, is it the sort of thing you'd give to your girls before they started having periods?
Maybe a bit later.
Something that might help you at least talk to them about it. Yeah.
I think later teens. I mean, one of the really interesting things it talks about is very much about the fallen nature of conception and childbearing, and that's all part of this kind of period kind of thinking. So yeah, probably older teens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And related question, would you give it to your husband to read?
I think it'd be a great book for husbands to read.
Actually, that's true. I think, what am I saying? Not every woman. I think a lot of men would benefit from reading this. They might not find it comfortable read.
I was just reading through it this morning and it's uncomfortable. I will tell you that. But it does make you think, like, because I've just never even thought about it. It's not like my wife, you know, tells me all the gory details or anything. It's just... It's not.
I know, it's like
they just deal with it, you know.
Business, isn't it? Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, good work. We'll leave that there. And then, and the last one we'll talk about today is your teens pick, and this fits in because you've got Equip Teens, which is part of the Equip conglomerate. What's Equip Teens there for?
Okay, my whole committee kept teasing me about Equip Teens as that, you know, one-off thing that we were going to do in 2015. Unfortunately, when we're online, we can't actually run a separate teens space in the same way. So I think when we were in person at ICC, we'd, you know, have the teens in their own little separate room. They had their own teens talks, and then they came and joined the women for one of the sessions. But we've tried, now that we're online for last year and this year, we've tried to make the talks a bit shorter, a bit more accessible for teens to listen to, and we generally provide something extra just for the teens. Last year we had a series of devotions for 14 days, and I think this year we've got something special planned for them to access during the conference as well.
Very good. And so as part of that, you've chosen this book, Transformed by Truth. I think you chose this one, Jocelyn. What's this book all about?
This book's actually written by a teenager. Well, she probably isn't anymore, but she was when she wrote it. And interestingly, she's the American National Bible Bee champion.
So
knew
she's
that was
so
a thing.
Is that a thing?
So it's like
Bible
is that
bee
like an automatic ticket to heaven or something?
Probably, no.
Is it like a spelling bee?
It's like a spelling bee, but you have to memorize huge chunks of the Bible and just remember verses. So she talks about a little bit of that, and then she kind of she actually is part of a website that is it called the Revolution, which is encouraging teens to rebel against low expectations of them on their Christian life, which I love. I love the idea of it. And in this book, she kind of spends the first half kind of mounting a case for why teens should read the Bible for themselves. She talks about why we read the Bible, why it's so important to engage with it. And she then has the second half of the book with some really practical ways to open the Bible for yourself. And I think in a kind of age where, 3-minute devotions for teens are the things that are marketed, it's a real great answer to that, and an encouragement for teens to grab the Bible for themselves and be engaging with it seriously in their teen years. Yeah.
And so you've both had teenagers, currently have teenagers. How have you found that they do buy into the low expectation thing, or have you found that you've been able to encourage them to dive into the Bible and they've been able to do that?
Joss is looking at me.
I've done it.
I wouldn't say for our girls actually. I think they've been keen Bible readers for themselves. And certainly, you know, they've had fantastic youth group leaders that have mentored them along the way. I think my girls actually one's finished uni, but I've still got 2 at uni. And, you know, being part of the uni program there, like, it's really challenged them to think about taking the Bible seriously. Also, my poor girls have, you know, spent pretty much their whole life following me on my Equip journey, which involves a lot of thinking deeply about various bits and pieces of the Bible. I think, you know, peers make a big difference though. And I wouldn't say that they're totally immune from that. I think people tend to think teens are a bit flaky and don't want to give them responsibility, but yeah, like the teen girls that we've had involved with Equip Teens, they've been remarkable.
Is there anything you're trying to do, Jocelyn?
Well, I think, certainly I think there is that kind of aspect in the culture. I think a lot of our churches are pretty good at trying to, hit that on the head a bit and encourage teens in their faith to kind of take it seriously for themselves. But I think this would be a great book. If you knew a teen that was struggling with that kind of thing, or even to encourage a teen who's already reading the Bible seriously for themselves, it'd be a great encouragement for them. It's something I want to buy for all my godchildren who are teenagers. I think it'd be a great gift if you had a godchild in that age bracket, or a child who is a teenager. Yeah.
That's great. Good recommendation there. And so lastly, you as Equip and Jocelyn as the book lady, you clearly love books and you want to see people reading books. What is it about Christian books that you think is so helpful? Why is it that you encourage people to get into them?
Book club lady.
I think obviously we want to be reading the Bible, we want to be going to church, we want to be meeting with other Christians, but reading Christian books is a way of accessing kind of Christian thinking from other people who've thought deeply in a certain area, and can be a really helpful addition to the Christian life, I think. I always try to have a Christian book on the go because I think it just helps shape my thinking and challenges, me in different areas of my life. And the nice thing about Equip being online is it's much cheaper this year than going in person, so you have a lot of extra money to spend on books.
Good one, Joss.
That's what I'm telling my husband.
I like where you went with that.
You know, I was going to say, I do love books. I like all kinds of books, actually. I love reading. But I think, you know, Christian books can be life-changing along with God's Word. I can think of a handful of titles that really came at key points in my life and really revolutionised the way that I thought about God. I want to encourage you. I think Gentle and Lowly is one of those books. So if you're going to buy one book from Equip, I shouldn't say that. Buy all 10.
The first book you should get it.
But I think, I still remember reading Knowing God by J.I. Packer, which we've had as a classic pick before. He has one chapter where he just says, Christians know God as Father. That's the primary way that we know him. And I was like, what about Saviour? What about? And it really helped me deeply engage further with what exactly did Jesus do for us on the cross. So, I think Christian books are great as an addition to reading God's Word.
Well, that's very helpful. Well, look, it's been great chatting with you both about the Equip Top 10 books and the Equip Conference. Thanks for coming in and joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No worries.
Don't forget to register.
That's it. You can find all those details at equip.org.au, and you'll find this book list at reformers.com.au/equip. They'll all be there.
Spend your money.
Okay, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.